Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Third Coast Reptile right here on YouTube. Since the last time we hung out here together on the channel, so many new things have occurred. We have new reptile rooms to show you guys. In those rooms are new enclosures, and we have all new reptile faces to show you, as well as the faces you already know. And what better way to showcase all of those things than to do a reptile room video. So that's what we're doing today, a reptile room tour video. But where have I been so long? What's been going on for the last, I don't know, 8 months since we've done the last video? Well, there's been a lot of things. Let me explain. We had a plumbing issue.
Yeah, is this ABC Plumbing? I got issues. No, the Murray brothers couldn't help me. They were busy fighting a turtle. I don't know. It'll be how much?
We had medical issues.
Take 4 times daily. Oh.
We've got another dog that came to the channel here. Don't worry, Sonny's still alive and well, but he's got a buddy now. We had New Year's and Christmas and New Year's, because it goes Christmas, yeah. Yeah, so we had that going on. Yeah, we've had a lot of things going on here. Oh, and of course, I've had some distractions. I mean, not gonna be, you know, whatever. We also have new shirts here, guys. I don't know if you've seen the new shirt. Check it out. Right? Pretty sweet. Yeah, if you guys want your shirt, your brand new 2026 shirt with this new logo, go to the YouTube Third Coast Reptile homepage, and there are 2 links there. The first link is for Husbandry Pro, and if you don't already have that, I don't know what you're doing. You should have the Husbandry Pro link. But for the Third Coast Reptile 2026 shirt, go to the Third Coast Reptile link, the merch store link that's right below that Husbandry Pro link, and that'll take you right to my store where you can see all of the Third Coast Reptile shirts and colors and, you know, other things that I have there. Plus, I also have the 2025 shirts there. If you like the older logo, that's cool. I still have some shirts there for you as well, but get your merchandise. Take a picture of it and show me on the channel that you got your new shirt. That'd be cool. Anyway, guys, we're doing an Under the Shell segment where I answer one of your questions right here on the channel. Today's question is going to be, can UVB light emit through glass into your enclosure? In other words, if you were to take your bearded dragon, set them next to a window, would they benefit from it? And the answer isn't as simple as a yes or no, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Also, guys, we're doing a new segment here on Third Coast Reptile, and I'm really excited about it. It's called And when you do this segment, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you guys a statement, and you guys are going to tell me whether or not that's fact or fiction. And then I'll explain why it is fact or fiction and how it benefits you in the reptile community. I'm not going to tell you that Africa has 13 countries, countries in it, and it's nothing to do with reptiles. Everything's going to be reptile related, don't worry. Not straying from that. But anyway, I've talked too much for the intro, so let's go ahead and get into this video. Real quick, guys, before we get into today's video, I know I've already said a lot, but I have an issue and I need your help. As of right now, everybody watching this video, this one right here, this video, 84% of everybody watching this video right now hasn't subscribed to the channel. Do me a favor and hit the subscription button. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, it helps the channel grow. Also, if you can do me a couple more things. So, in addition to hitting the subscription button, hit that notification bell so you guys get notified when new content like this one comes out. Also, guys, hit the like button because that helps me determine what videos you like versus what videos you don't like. And I'll make more of the videos you like. We like. Everybody likes. So yeah, do me that favor. Also guys, while we're here, I just want to say thank you. We are over 830 subscribers at the time this video is made. We're well on our way to 1,000 and beyond. And I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for being part of this Third Coast Reptile group and subscribing to the channel. And for the 84% that aren't, get on board, guys. Hit the subscription button. Do me a favor. Hit the like. Hit the notification bell. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. Okay, to start this tour off, what better way to do it than the Egyptian enclosure right here, guys. This is a toad ranch enclosure, one of many in this room. This one's 8 foot long, 3 foot tall, and 3 foot deep. This is massive, massive for a whole creep of Egyptian tortoises, and I only have one male in there. I wanted to have more, but you know, they got listed as CITES 1. They can't really cross over state lines. So I'm very limited to my accessibility to getting these guys ever again. Now, this guy is doing really well. He is thriving in this enclosure, and it's perfect. This was the transition from like normal tortoises you can get at pet stores to sort of the more rare species. With tortoises like this, it kind of makes you feel like you got a brand new car. You just drove it off the dealership lot and you notice every pebble in the road. Everybody that's trying to drive in front of you, you get a little bit more paranoid and a little bit more nervous. The same thing sort of happened with the Egyptian tortoise, where I was constantly watching him, constantly monitoring everything. He's doing very, very well. And that's kind of the theme of this room, is that these are sort of more the rare tortoise room, if you will. And not to value one tortoise's life over the other, it's just that if I screw up and they do happen to pass away, I'm not going to have another chance to get another one. But with the Egyptian tortoise in here, he's got plenty of sight barriers, he's got plenty of enrichment, in here, because he walks around, checks everything out. He's very inquisitive. He is always checking things out. I notice whenever I'm doing anything in the enclosure, he has to come see what it is that I'm doing. The substrate in this one here is more of a fine gravel. He does eat on a plate. He does not eat on the substrate, so there's no risk for impaction. When I first got him, I brought him home. I did have him on the white crushed oyster shell, and that was if he were to eat the substrate, he would then just digest calcium as opposed to rocks and stuff, where I've kind of moved on to this for no real particular reason. I just felt like it was more of a naturalistic feel for him, more of a naturalistic environment. The only issue that I've ever had with any toad ranch enclosures was with this one here. This pillar right here behind me was actually bowing in, and that was because something I did. The base below here had 2 support beams that had fallen down when I was putting this in place. And because the center support beams weren't there, nothing was supporting the load of all the substrate and everything in the center of the enclosure. And that center was pushing down, which was then pulling that center beam, this beam right here, in. And it was so bad that I had a really hard time getting these glass doors to open. So I contacted the fine folks at Toad Ranch Enclosure. They hit me up right away. They wanted pictures. They wanted to know everything that was going on. And they told me that this was the issue before I even moved it. They knew the issue before I even told them. So big shout out to them. Thank you guys at Toad Ranch for helping me out. But this is a tour video about reptiles and not just reptile enclosures. With Egyptian tortoises, they live right on the coastline of the Mediterranean. And what will happen is in the mornings, they actually get this morning dew, this morning mist that comes off the Mediterranean right over them in the morning. So every morning I'll come in here and I'll actually spray them down to mimic that sort of environment for him in this enclosure. Sort of a naturalistic trigger for them to get up and around and start their day, which it does. He's always sleeping until I spray down the enclosure. And he's like, all right, the alarm clock's hit. It's time to go to work. And he's out walking around doing laps. He's fun, full of personality, and I really enjoy him in this enclosure. Again, I have a couple of T5 UVB lights in here and 2 basking bulbs on either side. This is just one of many Toad Ranch enclosures in here. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you the next one right over here. All right guys, behind me here is the biggest enclosure that was store-bought in my entire house. This is a 12-foot long, 4-foot tall, and 2.5-foot deep Toad Ranch enclosure. It is massive. Again, super big. In this enclosure is a Burmese star tortoise. It's a full-grown male. He's doing well in here. I have plans to get more, so that way he has sort of a breeding program. And right now, he's just a happy stud living in his bachelor pad by himself. So a fun fact with Burmese star tortoises, they're actually part of a trio of the star tortoise family. You have the smaller Indian star and Sri Lankan star tortoises. The main differences in those, and I did a video about that I can show you right here, where I show you the differences between all 3 types of star tortoises. The Burmese star tortoise, however, is the largest of the 3, and that's why I allowed him to have this big 12-foot enclosure that we have here. And again, very similar to the Egyptian tortoise, we got a couple of T5 UVB lights in here. I've got a couple of basking bulbs in there as well. And he's very happy and healthy in here. I've had him for a little over a year now. And he eats well. His substrate's a little different. I have a mixture of dirt, sand, and some cypress mulch in here as well. You don't want to use any cypress mulch that has dye in it, by the way, because that can be harmful to your tortoise as well, and it can stain the water in your tortoise shell, and you don't want that. So the more naturalistic you go with your enclosures, the better. And with something this big, I wanted to create a footprint where something of this size, where it may not have the width, he makes up for in length. This is a very good enclosure for something like a monitor lizard, something like a couple of ackies would do really well in here. But for a tortoise, it's actually better if you were to take the thing and put it on its side, because it has a bigger footprint on the back side than it does on the bottom. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave it just like this. Toad Ranch does have a new line of products where it's essentially a PVC box that sits down, and it's a tortoise table that they have. They're constantly evolving there at Toad Ranch. But this isn't a Toad Ranch video, this is a tour video. So let's get back to it. We're going to show you some more Toad Ranch enclosures though that have the rest of my tortoises up here in the reptile room. Alright guys, behind me here is home to the most wild trio I have here. The craziest bunch. I don't mean wild caught, I mean wild as they are active, they run, they're crazy climbers. I'm talking about the Pancake tortoises, and they are housed in this Toad Ranch enclosure here. This is a 6-foot, 2-foot by 2-foot enclosure, and all 3 of them started out like that big, and they've gotten huge. They're massive in here, and they run around all the time in here. They're constantly moving around doing something.
So with pancake tortoises, they break all the rules. Look at this guy coming towards us. He has no height in his shell. It's not that big dome shape that we're used to seeing. But that's what pancake tortoises are. That's what makes them unique. They utilize this really slender profile to get in outcrops like this one here that I built where they can go underneath. They're excellent at wedging themselves in these little tight spots. And believe it or not, the top of the shell and the bottom of the shell are flexible. As a defense mechanism, what they'll do is inflate themselves when they get in these tight spots as a way to defend themselves from predators trying to pull them out of these rocky areas. I have a trio of these guys in this enclosure. I'm hoping that through time here, it becomes one male, two females. It's undetermined right now. They are a bit too young, but I'm hoping to get a breeding group of these guys. They are terrific in this enclosure, and as you can see, I built it to their liking where they have these low areas where they can crawl into, and this enclosure was really fun to build. You can see this guy's butt, but look at the shell pattern on that guy. Look at how beautiful those striations are in their shell. It's really wonderful, and that's why I love pancake tortoise. Okay, on to the next enclosures.
Alright guys, wrapping up the upstairs enclosure tour before we head downstairs. We have two more toad ranch enclosures that are below the pancake tortoise. And they house two tortoises from Madagascar. On this side over here, we have a radiated tortoise.
Check out this guy. What I love about radiated tortoises in general, besides the obvious beautiful colorations of their shell, is how high-pitched their shell is. That dome shape is so tall. This guy's going to need a much bigger enclosure, as you can see, but for now, he's in this 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot enclosure. Yeah, it's by Toad Ranch, I know. Anyway, the substrate in here is more of a cypress mulch mix. It does have some sand and dirt below it. He's doing incredibly well in here, always active. Every time I spray it down, sure enough, he comes out to hang out. One of the more happy tortoises, I would say, that I have here in the Third Coast Reptile house. But with this guy, again, another CITES 1 tort that I'm never going to be able to get another one of. This one here was gifted to me. Oops, sorry about that. Gifted to me here at Third Coast Reptile, and that's the only way I was able to get him. And I'm very appreciative to have the opportunity to hang out with this guy. He's a beautiful guy, really strong and healthy. I can't wait to see what the future brings for him, and it's funny how these colors sort of develop on his shell, and it's just markings for camouflage, really, but for us, it's a thing of beauty, and that's what I love about radiated tortoises in general. Now, as I mentioned, the Burmese star tortoise does get quite large. They're considered a medium-sized tortoise, where this one's going to get up to around 16 inches in length and will weigh around 35 pounds. So his neighbor isn't going to be quite so big. Another Madagascar native. Let's go see the spider tortoise. Alright, so now we have the spider tortoise. Look how small he is, and that's because spider tortoises only get to be about 6 inches in length as full-grown adults. This is, yeah, I know, another Toad Ranch 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, but hey, that's what I have. And this guy's just waking up here. You can see his beautiful shell here. Now, spider tortoises get their name from the web-like patterns on their shells, as you can see. And his substrate here is a sandy mix with some cypress mulch kind of blended into it as well. I do this to kind of keep the humidity up for them. Although they can withstand really dry seasons, it's not ideal to duplicate that in your natural habitats here at home. Now, although critically endangered, they are not CITES 1 yet. And I say yet because they probably will be. The reason why these guys are critically endangered, though, is because they can only produce 1 egg at a time. In other words, 1 offspring per, clutch. but it's really just one egg that they lay. And they can take up to 250 days to incubate those eggs. It takes a really long time. It's a slow process, very methodical. So you can understand why the demand is way higher than the supply when it comes to spider tortoises. Very fortunate to get this guy here. And I love watching him kind of develop here and understand things and get more comfortable in his enclosure. Really just a stunning tortoise. And with him, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make something slightly bigger for him as far as his enclosure. This one's only being a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. But he's eating well, doing really well. These guys are known to eat insects as well, so I'll sprinkle those in from time to time. I'll throw some larvae in there, some crickets in there as well. But for the most part, like today, he's eating some leafy greens with some Missouri Diet and some hay mix into it as well. And again, they're another tortoise from Madagascar.
We'll make him a bigger place. So anyway, guys, that's it for the upstairs tour. I think it's time to do our new segment, and that is tortoises see in color. Well, what did you come up with? Do tortoises see color? The answer is yes, they can. In fact, tortoises can see more of the color spectrum than we can. And why does that matter to us as tortoise owners? Well, when it comes to their food, things like hibiscus flowers and dandelion greens are these bright, shiny colors that they're going to be more attracted to. So you may want to add those to their food and their diet. Now, when it comes to their reptile lighting, that's also something that this information would benefit, because when it comes to red lights, you want to avoid them in your enclosures because tortoises actually get blinded by that red light because they can see so much of that rainbow spectrum of color. So that concludes our fact or fiction for today. All right, I thought the best way to start off the tour of the new rooms was to show you the area that I'm most proud of in this new room. That is the Redfoot area. I can't tell you how awesome it is to provide these guys a bigger footprint than what they had before. Remember, upstairs, they were actually split up into two different groups. I had the bigger Redfoot on the bottom, and I had the yearlings and juveniles in that sort of loft area. Well, over the summer, they all shared a space and did extraordinarily well. So much so that I actually put them all together here in this area that they're in now. This is a 10 by 20, 25 maybe foot long area. This is a big enclosure here, and I'm really happy to provide this space for them. They have everything they need, and really, I don't know what else to do for them besides giving them a natural habitat back in, South America where they're from. But this is a great space for them. All 9 of them are happy and healthy in here. They're doing really well. They have plenty of area. Now, the key thing that I want to tell you guys about when it comes to larger creeps, which is what we call groups of tortoises, is to give them enough space so that way they can have territories within the space to call their own. If you don't do this, that's what's going to promote that sort of harassment and fighting that you see in tortoise groups or creeps. You have to give them enough space so that way they can get away from each other, have their own areas. It's kind of like the back seat of a car ride when you're going on vacation. He went over the line, she went over the line, Mom went over. And then the parents are trying to pull the car over, and then mass things are happening, and parents are getting mad, and we're going to turn this car around and go home. Wait a minute. Yeah, so you want to give your tortoises ample space to roam and be away from each other. And then the one thing I do want to do down here is I want to create sight barriers in here to give them sort of a more interesting footprint. Right now it's kind of a big open space. It's a little boring for them. I've got tortoises walking on my feet as we speak. But this is a nice place, sort of a forever home for them for the indoor winter months. Of course, in the summertime, they're heading back outside to enjoy the natural sunlight. But for the winters here in Michigan, this is their home. This is where they can be until they're all adults. All 9 of them can be adults in this space. That's how big this space is, and this is what it meant for me to bring them downstairs. Anyway, guys, that's it for this area. We're going to move on to the loft space above and show you who's in there. Okay, guys, in this enclosure here is a very special tortoise. This is my Sudanese Sulcata tortoise, and this is not his forever home. This enclosure is kind of a unique one. It has a weird footprint. So this is a really wide angle, kind of a triangle that merges with a rectangle behind me here. I'm trying to show you, and he's doing hot laps. So this is the Sudanese Sulcata that I have right here, and he's gonna get tremendously bigger. And I'll show you a bigger Sulcata and what they look like a little later on. But he's this little ball of energy. He runs hot laps in here, and I call them hot laps because he runs all over the place. But this is just his little temporary nook until we get him a more permanent solution down the road. In fact, my plan for him is to put him where the Redfoot room used to be, and that gives him ample opportunity to go outside through the sliding patio doors that I have there, right into the backyard. And I feel like that's the best scenario when dealing with things like this, is to plan methodically, where understanding the size of sulcatas and how big and heavy they are, they're going to do what they want to do, and it's going to be hard to get them in and outside, especially if they're down here in the basement. So moving him back upstairs makes the most logical sense, especially for logistics of getting him in and outside. This is his temporary enclosure. I imagine he'll be in here for a couple of years, and then we'll utilize this space for another tortoise.
Alright guys, next up is the Russian tortoise, the most underrated tortoises of all tortoises, at least in my opinion. This enclosure is very unique. This is a L-shaped enclosure. It's pretty deep back there. I want to say it's about 5 foot deep by about 5 foot across over this way here. And then it averages about 2.5 foot in width in both ways. And I noticed that this footprint here kind of gives them all sorts of enrichment, sight barriers. You can see they've been trying to climb the walls over there, and that's why to create that lip on the bottom, because they keep trying to climb out. But this is, I really enjoy this one. It's not your typical box. It's kind of a unique L shape, like I said. And then you can see one's eating down there. I have 3 in here. I have 1 male, 2 females. And they really do enjoy it in here. They're constantly exploring. I have all these sight barriers established for them and doing well. There's female right there. These are rescues. All 3 of them were rescues, unfortunately. So they're recovering. I gotta take them to the vet, get them checked out.
Okay, so above this hide right here, this little area for the Redfoots, we have the Greek tortoise enclosure. Now he's kind of burrowing down right now, which they often do this time of year, but he comes out, he'll eat and stuff. But this is the same exact enclosure he was in upstairs in the Redfoot area. As he grows older, we're going to develop a more permanent home for him, but for now this is kind of his little area, his little nook.
Next up here we have this beautiful 300-gallon Rubbermaid enclosure that houses a yellow belly slider Linda and her minnows in there. Now those minnows will eventually be food. That's the cycle of life, but whatever. That basking area, I still want to redo it. I want to make it better. I just don't think it's robust enough for what she does. She likes the area a lot, and I want to make it nice. So this, again, it's a beautiful enclosure. I think this is going to be her forever home. And whenever you're doing videos like this, you always got to watch your feet because you're in the Redfoot area. Always. Anyway, I tried this really cool underwater thing where I would show you underneath what's going on here because she's so shy on the camera, you know. You can see some of the minnows here swimming around. I used a Ziploc bag over my camera, which made it kind of so hard to see. But anyway, I was trying to get you some footage of Linda. There she is. There you are, Linda. You can't hide forever. But anyway, I tried to do that. This is the only way I can get her on camera is to feed her. These are some Zoo-Med pellets that I give her, along with some Missouri Diet pellets every once in a while. But yeah, I got her on camera here. This is a 300-gallon, like I said. It's kind of primitive. It's a little plain for my taste, but it's nice. It looks pretty decent. Again, I'm not a big fan of aquatic setups, but I do like this one. I've had Linda for a long time, and there she is. I caught her on camera so you guys can see her. There she is, right there. There you are. Gotcha, Linda. And of course, as soon as she knows she's on camera, she's gone. Anyway, guys, this is her enclosure. I really think it's beautiful. It's a nice piece of art here that she lives in. And this is her forever home. So let's do the Under the Shell segment next.
Got questions? Then get your answer right here on Under the Shell. Hey guys, for today's Under the Shell question, this one is from Brian, and Brian asks, hey, just curious, can I put my reptile next to a window and have UVB directly from the sun? Well, Brian, that's a great question, and one that we get a lot. So with lighting and with sun, the way it works is glass actually filters out the majority of UVB rays coming through glass. So if you set up your reptile enclosure near glass, you're going to get UVA as opposed to UVB. Remember, reptiles do require both. So they would get UVA, but they would not get UVB. UVB is something that we have to supplement with UVB bulbs. This is important for them to metabolize food and get that calcium that they need to prevent metabolic bone disease and other sort of illnesses that would come with it. Now, when it comes to plant life, they thrive on UVA, and which is why it's okay to put plants near windows as opposed to reptiles. So, if you do decide to put your reptile near a window, remember that you are going to have to provide an additional source of UVB. Great, thanks for the question, Brian. If you want your question answered, you can do so in one of three ways. Number one, you can ask your question right here in the comment section of this video. Number two, you can go to the Third Coast Reptile YouTube community chat and ask your question there, or simply go to the Third Coast Reptile Facebook page and ask your question there.
Alright guys, this is the old chameleon enclosure. As you can see, it's very plain, very drab. Nothing really cool about it. It is a store-bought Zoo-Med product that you can kind of get like a cookie cutter chameleon enclosure. This one is like 16 by 16 by 36. It is much too small for an adult chameleon, so I wanted to create something a little better for them. Now this is a much better suited enclosure for my chameleon. This is a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. Look at this. It's a nice enclosure. I built it for him. I'm no carpenter, but this is a much more suited enclosure for him. Now he's fired up a little bit there because the camera's on him and he's not quite used to that yet. But we got live plants in here. I did bring over some branches and vines from the old one, don't get me wrong. It's got this, the little no drip gripper up there that I hate. The basking bulb there, UVB, and of course we've got our humidifier for at night. This enclosure is pretty decent for them. Like I said, all natural plants. And then we got our cricket bin over here to feed him crickets when we need to. It goes in that little hatch down there on the bottom that I built. Whoops, sorry there. That little hatch I built. And I used some extra screen for the lid there for the crickets to let them breathe. And then this is just it's just a much nicer platform for him. He's much happier in here. I noticed that he's a little bit more calm. He feels a little more at home. And yeah, this is the chameleon enclosure that he should have had from the get-go. It kind of sucks having to have him in that cheap Reptile one, the aluminum one. Do yourself a favor. Bigger is better when it comes to chameleons. I feel like he deserves a really nice enclosure like this one.
He is a Dalmatian crested gecko. You can see him hanging out there on that log. Kevin's an adult male. He did lose his tail from the previous owner. I believe they bred him, which is all part of the process, I guess. But you can see I got a little label for him there. I really like this enclosure. It's done really well over the years. It's held up very nicely. I have a ceramic heater up there and then a daytime bulb over there just to give him some ambient light because they are primarily nocturnal creatures. But this guy, he's out all the time. I love him. He's a cool dude. In this area down here, I have 4, and we can see if we can find one here in this kind of murky water that they're in. I have 4 pink belly side neck turtles, and they are very, very small. Let's see if we can find one. Oh, right. Oh, man, they're quick. He's so fast. Oh, there they all are. Nope, got one. Got him. So this is one of the pink belly side neck turtles that I have. As you can see, he's very small. And you can see he gets that name from his side neck there. And then the plastron underneath is sort of a pinkish color. You guys really can't tell too well in the camera. But, you know, one of 4 that I have in here. And again, I'm hoping that they are a breeding group. We'll set him down right here so he can get a breath of air. And then he'll probably shoot. Let's see if he hops in the water here in a second. But there's 4 of them in here. I have a little tank heater and a couple bubblers. I'm going to change some things up in here in a little while. There he went. Change some things up in here in a little while. But there are 4 of them in here. And these guys get decent size. They don't get huge. Not like Linda that's really big, but they get decent size. I've never had these guys. They've been on my list of animals to get, and being aquatic, it's kind of rare for me to buy aquatic stuff because of all the extra water work and stuff that you have to take care of. Alright guys, in this enclosure right here, we have a pair of elongated tortoises. You can see there's one there. And back there is the other one. I'm hoping that these are male, female, but if they're both female, I'll be happy with it. I'll purchase a male later on. But I have a pair of them here in this Rubbermaid enclosure. And this is just a bare basic little nursery for them, UV light and basking bulb. I really like these little Rubbermaid enclosures. They come in handy, especially for these little guys like this. So these are 2 new reptiles here for Third Coast Reptile hanging out here. And they don't get very big. These guys, if you're looking for maybe an alternative to Russian tortoises, the elongated tortoises like these 2 right here are a really good choice. You can see the one moving there in the back coming around. That's really cool. These guys are awesome. I've really enjoyed them. They're really, I was kind of nervous with them being this small, but you know, with baby, any hatchling tortoise, you just have to make sure you keep up on their soaks, and obviously their feedings are every other day as opposed to the bigger ones where I feed them twice a week. Now let's move on to this enclosure over here. And in this enclosure I have a pair, and you can see one kind of sleeping right there. I have a pair of elongated tortoises. Let's see if we can't get these guys out. There they are. You guys can kind of see them. Right there's one, and there's the other one with his shell, kind of the darker scoots on that one, and this one's more of an albino colored one. But I'm gonna let them sleep. So again, same thing, Rubbermaid enclosure like this, and these marginated scoot tortoises like these are very similar to the elongateds, and they don't get very big. I'm really excited to see how these guys develop, being a little bit larger than the other ones. I got these from two separate breeders, so I'm kind of curious if one is an albino as opposed to the one being a normal. But I'm excited about them in this little enclosure. I've always wanted marginated tortoises along with the elongated tortoises, which are happily out and about right now. And then down here is our last pair of new tortoises.
Next up is the biggest tortoise in the house, the Sulcata tortoise that I'm fostering. This is a big, big tortoise. Remember, these are those small, cute guys you see at the expos, really cheap. And he's not even full grown yet. This is a male Sulcata tortoise. I want to say he's around 6-7 years old. They grow all the way up to 10 years old in size. They actually keep growing, but most of the growth is done between their first 10 years or so. Their name, Sulcata tortoise, comes from the front here. You can see it's actually spur thigh tortoise, and you can see those front legs have these really sharp like little points on them. That's the spurs on their front legs. You notice those gular scoots too. Those gular scoots are their main primary weapon when they get into a fight with another male. They'll actually wedge those under the shell of the other one, and it actually can kill them. But I wanted to give you a quick shot here to see all these weapons on the front of this tortoise. Although for us as humans, they're not very aggressive. They're not going to come after you. They might come after your shoe, but for the most part, they'll leave you alone. And this guy here, he's doing extremely well here at the house. I really like his enclosure, except for the fact that it's kind of bare minimum, and that's because he won't let me put any sight barriers in his way. He'll knock the sight barriers down. He is, again, he does what he wants to do. And you can kind of see the front of his shell just has its sort of unique Sulcata flare in the front like that. Really characteristic. I actually love these guys. They're very, very cool.
Alright guys, last but certainly not least, the African side neck turtle is right here. Look at her. Look at how cool she is. She's so active and she'll follow you around. Hi. Hello. Hello. She's crazy. She's crazy. So much interaction, so lively. Of all the aquatic turtles, she's my favorite. But I love her. She's awesome. She's in Linda's old enclosure here, as you can tell. She used to be in a Rubbermaid enclosure upstairs. She's the one that laid eggs upstairs. You guys remember that video? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys her new digs. I like her enclosure. I think it's really nice. Kind of simple. The only thing I want to put in here is a new dock for her to get out of the water and kind of bask. I haven't set that up quite yet, but it's on the list, guys. I promise you, this is going to get everything she needs, and it'll be a beautiful enclosure for her. I mean, she's so much fun to hang out with. Very easy to take care of. The only thing I have to worry about with this one, like all aquatic enclosures, is I have to take care of the filter changes and cleaning them, all that good stuff. In fact, I did a video about that right here, where I cleaned Linda's enclosure, which was this tank right here, this very same tank. Anyway, guys, this is a long video. I appreciate you guys hanging out here for this long. If you could do me a favor, this is the end of the video. If you have watched all the way to the end of the video and you're still here, I want you to comment on this video the word tortoise. Nothing else, just say the word tortoise in the comments. And that lets me know you guys watched the entire video to the end, to right here. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me here. Thank you for spending 45 minutes of your day consuming this content and writing the word tortoise, subscribing, getting the notifications, hitting the like button, all that good stuff. And I have a ton of things coming down the pipeline here. We're doing a lot of YouTube shorts because there are a lot of little niche things that I would like to get on the air to you guys so you have access to those. And don't forget, speaking of access one of these new shirts. They're so cool. I love them. And you can get them all different colors. You saw I have white ones, orange ones, green ones, and this gray one like this one right here. But there are more colors, so check those out as well. Anyway, guys, we've talked way too long here on this reptile tour video. So let's end it right now. And until next time, guys, you know the drill. Bye now.